We have Big Tones, who raised his hand in our production meeting yesterday and said, guess what? I'll be the one that lists my top 5 central midfielders. I'll give you my depth chart. Now, this isn't 10s. We're not talking about 10s. This is more of a 6s and 8s type of conversation. And so, Big Tones, the floor is yours. Take it away.
Yeah, it's interesting that the term "he raised his hand," or the hand was you guys raised my hand for me. Is more like it went.
That's a heavy hand, Tony. I don't know.
Yeah, that's right. We needed 2 of you guys to do it. All right, yeah. So 6s and 8s, and we put them together, and we talked about doing pairings, but we haven't done that before. We've broken it down individually. So here we go. My top central midfielder. I put as Tyler Adams. I just think that the guy offers so much in the middle of the field. The guy does so many different things. He's a leader on the field. He breaks plays up. He's become a better passer. We saw the stats from his last match against Arsenal. He's just growing into the guy in the middle of the field that we can't live without. Okay. Number 2, I went with Weston McKennie. Although he's only played, and some reports say 8 games, some reports say 9 games this year. Out of the 41 games, it's been about 25% of the games at central midfield. I still think when he's in the center of the midfield, we get 2 things. We get work rate and breaking up plays, and then we get a guy that's always willing to get on the end of things in the box, right? Always willing to get forward. So he's the more advanced of the 2. My third central midfielder, and this is where it starts to become a conversation.
Okay.
I think Johnny Cardoso and the stuff that he's doing in the midfield. I find it just an American player that's playing in La Liga that for the most part is starting all the time when he's healthy. We can't overlook, and he's had really, really good performances. After that, I went to number 4. I went to Tanner Tessman in that position, and I just think he's grown into his time at Lyon right now, and we're seeing him play more. And quite honestly, when he's coming to the national team, he's done a pretty good job, and it looks like Mauricio Pochettino trusts him because he brings him in all the time. He actually started match 2 against Jamaica, leg 2 against Jamaica before he got hurt. So he
5.
He gets number 1. And my number 5 at central midfield, I'd put Yunus Musah there. As much as I'd love to see Yunus Musah be the guy in the midfield, he's just not played well recently. He just hasn't been the guy. If you would ask me to do this list, let's say 4 months ago, 5, coming out of the Christmas window, I probably would have had Yunus Musah at number 3, and that whole midfield trio would have been intact. Tyler Adams, McKennie, Musah, the MMA, but it just isn't right now. And given the fact that he's hardly played, there was a time when Conceição got there when he moved from winger to central midfielder, but recently he's hardly played. He hasn't played well for the national team, so I put him at 5 right now. And then you look at some of the other guys. I think it's hard for other guys to break into this. We'll get into those guys in a second, but you guys break down my list for me.
Okay, hold on. I need a frame of reference from you, Tones, before me and Chuck. Like, who is the best 6 or 8 that you played with? I know Tab's like one of your all times, but he's more of a 10. So who's like?
Well, he's a right midfielder. Tab, right midfielder.
Okay.
6 or 8s. So the
Thomas Dooley. Dooley, okay.
Thomas Dooley was up there.
Well, what made him? Sure. What about his player profile?
Oh, his range. His range was similar to just long. Trying to think of a player we've had like him now that you ask me. Long legs, covers a lot of ground. Jermaine Jones type player. I mean,
but he didn't have that quickness or force that Jermaine played. Like he couldn't.
No, but his reading of the game.
Speed. Yeah.
No, his reading of the game. No, but he was fast. His legs he was like a giraffe when he ran. I mean, his legs were so long, man.
I love that.
He made 18 to 18. Took him like 6 steps to get there. But yeah, remember, this is a guy that was at Kaiserslautern was player of the year. Trying to think of the top number 6. Mike Sorbo in 94 was a different type of 6. And then the other one was John Harkes.
What about John O'Brien?
John O'Brien, different. So out of this group, who would have been the John O'Brien?
Yeah, I got to play with Johnny O as well.
Yeah,
I mean, he's somebody that
you could different.
You could play the ball to him in any situation, and he'd have an answer.
Yeah,
you could put one at his. Listen, Chuck, if I was in trouble and I played, and I just gave a ball to Johnny O'Brien as fast as I could, and it was bouncing at his knee, he would somehow bring it down, and then out of his 3 options, he'd find the best one and do it as cool and calm as he could smoke a cigarette and sip a cappuccino while he's out there playing. You know?
Yeah, I mean, the guy was at Ajax. It is hard to be at Ajax at the age he went there to play.
When he went there,
when he went there to be that
stacked.
Like you have to be that technically gifted.
Yeah,
and so that gives you an idea of how good he was.
Claudio, for us, he didn't play in 94 because he got hurt before the World Cup. And then Bruce had him as a right midfielder, because that central midfield of Pablo Mastroeni, who probably is the Tyler Adams of this group, if you will.
Yeah.
But nasty, like had a nasty streak in him. Like there was a switch. Like if you hit the switch by accident, forget it. Johnny O'Brien, there's no one in this group that's a Johnny O'Brien, to be honest. Weston plays differently. Cardoso plays differently. Tessman's probably the closest one because of the way he wants to play, but I don't think he had the passing skill. I don't think any of these guys have the passing skill of Johnny O'Brien. And Claudio, remember, he didn't play much as a central midfielder in the World Cup. So, but if you put Claudio there, he's a completely different player. I look at him as there's no 6 in Claudio. There's more an 8 and a 10 in Claudio, playing a little bit higher up the field,
I was going to say, is Michael Bradley more in the Weston McKennie type of area, like 100%. As a midfielder? Yeah.
Yeah. Michael Bradley, see, I only played with him at the club level. He was 18 years old when I played with him. Here's a question. Who's a better passer, Michael Bradley or Weston McKennie?
Ooh.
Wait.
Weston's a great passer, but I went through some of Michael's plays and passes as of late.
I think over distance
credit he deserved. He did not get the credit he deserved for service. I mean, he had an incredible pass. He had a great range as well. So some of those delicate chips he'd play into the box for finishes. I can think of some incredible passes he had. I would go Michael was a better passer in terms of his range and his touch.
I would say Mikey as well.
Yeah.
Also in under pressure in midfield, I think Mikey's maybe a little bit better of playing out of that than Weston, but that's a good question. Obviously they're not like for like, but anyway,
none of these guys are like for like. There's no true like for likes here.
Pablo Tyler's not too far off though. Tyler maybe I don't know. The switch of Pablo, I agree with you. I've seen it. I've seen the switch.
But if Tyler played in that age where you could get away with some of this stuff, I think Tyler would have that switch. Remember, we're in a different time in the way that these guys have to go into tackles and the way they have to do things, and you can't send a message in this game. Like there's no, because the message goes to VAR and then you find you're out of the game 2 seconds later. So. But Pablo had an edge, man, and but yeah. So those are guys. I don't know if you have any. There's some guys that were on the fringe, but I don't see them in the 5.
Well, I made a right turn. I wanted to get into kind of your favorite player profile in that particular position and play guys you played against. So Chuck, let's pretend Tony's not here. What do you think of his top 5 list?
I think you nailed it, Tony. I love it.
Wow.
I think you're spot on.
I said pretend he's not here, and you're giving him his flowers to his face.
He did an exceptional job. Because Tillman's right there, but he had dealt with some injuries, and
Tillman's a 10 more for me though, right? Tillman's more of a 10.
Yeah, but he's a midfielder, right?
Okay. Well, you got Busio, you got Morris, you got Jack McGlynn, who clearly got some valuable minutes in the Nations League.
You got Gutierrez, Busio, Aiden Morris, Kramaski, Paxton Aronson, Brendan Aronson, and then Sebastian Berhalter has been, arguably the best U.S. midfielder in MLS right now. So those are the names, right? That are in competition, and obviously we know things can change within a year. But
right.
I think at the moment, spot on, Tony. Phenomenal.
Okay. Yeah, I did this today. Like I did this. Yeah. I try and take recency bias out of it and all that stuff. Like today, this is how I saw this position.
All right. So with Weston McKennie not being available for the Gold Cup because of FIFA Club World Cup responsibilities with Juventus, do you feel like we're going to see these four then get called in for the Gold Cup? You're going to have Adams, Cardoso, Tessman, and Musah, or
for sure?
Feel like there could be room for another one of the other, like a Paxton Aronson who's had a good season with Utrecht?
I think there's room definitely for an addition or two, to be fair. So
that's a lot of central midfielders. We'll have to
remember, it's probably going to be a camp. He's not going to hold it just to 26 players. It might be 30. Who knows how many he brings in? But I think he will. You have to take a look at players in this summer camp window, because he's going to have an idea of who he wants to play. But it's super important for him to bring in players just to get a sense of, is this someone's quality that I like, where I see them fitting in? Just what's their first touch like? What's their, tackling like? What kind of value could they bring to the team? I think it's so critical that he gets a good look at all the guys who are performing.
Doesn't Paxton
summer
play a little wider and higher than this? I feel like what we saw in the Olympics.
Not with Utrecht, though.
Not with Utrecht.
Not with Utrecht.
Yeah, he plays like a deep 8.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, so I get the sense if there's one guy coming in, as much as I'd like to see Paxton, I feel just from being around that camp in Nations League that he really likes what McGlynn does. I have no, there's no,
like I have no playmaker.
Yeah, I have no inside track on this. I just, it's just a sense that I have that he wants to see, that he will want to see more of McGlynn. But I'd like to see Paxton Aronson get a shot here.
Oh, look at you! You got to the end of the video. Thanks for watching. We appreciate it. So if you want more average to good content, then you know where to go find it. Go peruse our channel, then hit like, then hit subscribe, and of course, turn on your notifications so that you never miss a show. We'll see you next time.